Let's see what we got going on as the first bans come through. Jace and Thresh taken away.
All right, so far we aren't seeing anything necessarily towards the mid lane. What we've been seeing a lot lately is that a lot of teams are banning away the AD carries. You talk about Jinx, Aphelios, and Zeri. I've seen enough drafts now over the last couple of weeks where teams are just banning away literally all those champions. And I've seen Tristana's pop up, I've seen Kai'Sa's pop up, and interestingly enough, Oplon actually removing the Jhin there, respecting how good Inax is on the pick for setting the team up. But I feel like you do open up that option to put him on the more carry like we were expecting here, because we know Oplon can play towards the bottom lane if they so choose.
Exactly, and I'm expecting if this is an Aphelios ban or something that's very related. Okay, cool. That means that this should be Jinx first pick, assumably, if Oplon don't ban it away.
Yeah, that's what I'm gathering from this one here. I think they're going to be okay with the Jinx Aphelios trade. Zekor, though, even when those are up, he has opted into other matchups where it's something like the Varus. He's one of the few AD carries in the league so far who have played it. That's looked really good here, too, and we are seeing the Ahri banned away from Peng, was something kind of we were expecting here. But you called it. First pick Jinx. I mean, it is one of the strongest champs right now, so it isn't too surprising that we're seeing that come through. And now the question is, I don't think we've seen Inax on the Aphelios maybe one single game. So what are we going to see from
Inax on the Aphelios twice, actually. If you remember, in his first week, that's when he got camped over and over and over again. And he's got and just the fact that he chose to play it again consistently after that just speaks to the mental resilience of this man. As we see, and that should be the trade like you were mentioning.
And they banned away the Thresh because I guess they were expecting this trade, probably not looking to grab that one for themselves either. I mean, Tahm Kench is up and available, which is going to be interesting, and that's why I think it's something that that Oplon might go for. And the reason that would be interesting is Chameleus, though, is the only support so far the split who's played the Rel that actually played really well into the Tahm Kench, and it was a big deal for GameWard in their most recent match. So there's a lot of things, though. Of course, you're going to look to pick up junglers. All the big-time junglers are still up and available here, and Akabane, his highest win rate is on the Xin Zhao, so you're going to immediately lock that in. The dude is nuts. He's able to find a lot of these early angles, no matter what lane he is looking for here.
Xin Zhao good, and has been for a very, very long time with the LFL, right? We're talking about a bit of staleness in terms of the jungle meta, but I find, Xin Zhao is just such a power pick in terms of the dive options and pick options, right? There's nothing he realistically cannot do. On the other end, though, this has been one of the most common trades. Oplon pick up the Lee Sin for Brunette.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. If y'all saw the Twitter video from North Arena, if not, go watch that. Second of all, there's a reason why Brunette was Leonidas, and there's a reason why the spear he threw was the Dragon's Rage, because Brunette, this is his pick. This is where he's found the most success, even in games where Oplon do not find wins, because he is able to find these early game plays, get these kills, and at least get some kinds of leads for himself before things usually fell apart. But last week, I do want to note, when they won their first game of Mirage, this was against Mirage. This was the mid-jungle duo they went for. It was the Lee Sin, LeBlanc. Peng was lights out on the pick, and I think this is really strong for skirmishing here, and this is kind of what I was wondering about for GameWard. We talked about it before the draft. It looks like we are seeing the Victor come through. Checolad is still going to opt for more of the scaling, but I think we're going to have GameWard might have a bit of an issue in the early game just because of the fact that, I mean, Peng and Brunette, they're going to be looking to make plays. They're going to be all over the map here, and if GameWard aren't careful, if they don't have other early game picks that they can go for and skirmish with, Oplon could find themselves a good lead.
And this isn't uncommon for GameWard to do, right? We find that they do give up a fair amount of priority lanes early on and just kind of ride out to survive the storm until they can make impact elsewhere on the map when they finally hit the power points. Now, speaking of power points, still Gnar will be banned away as well, and expecting that same sort of a trend to make sure they can live with the options of Oplon on the top lane as well. I mean, you can also ban away some supports too, but I think you might want to limit those options a bit more.
Yeah, there's a lot of supports up and available right now, so unless there's something really specific, like the like Oplon, maybe a Braum you're worried about from Chameleus, but I don't think we're going to see that actually come through.
Renata?
It's just going to be about maybe. It could work. I don't know. We've seen Chameleus play some interesting champs, things that we haven't seen as commonly in terms of support picks. But I think overall right now in terms of bans, it's going to be aimed at the top lane. I mean, we're already seeing some of the tanky bruiser frontline type deals taken out of the picture here. I wouldn't be surprised if Oplon want to take another thing away from Melanic there. The Gwen, worth noting, is still up and available somehow at this point in the draft. And even though it isn't incredibly powerful early on. I think it's definitely a worthy trade-off just because of how you're okay in lane in most matchups, and then in the late game, you are unmatched.
And speaking of which, that's the Gwen ban as well. So I think you did have to call it there, and that's the immediate lock-in for the Nautilus. So, you know, pretty classic with the Aphelios. You do want something with hard CC. Here, I was thinking, though, considering Hullbreaker meta, right? The Graves is still up, but I think Oplon might be baiting it because last time, Darlic did play the Malphite into it. And that is a fantastic matchup, so that could be a good bait.
Well, we will have to see. It's a tough call for GameWard there because there were a lot of supports to go for, but they want to go for the all-in potential. Chameleus goes in for the Nautilus, and they want to make sure they can blind top. Jace is gone, Gwen is gone, GP2, so Melanic doesn't have very many good blinds that he can go for here. I guess that's why they want to throw that one into the last pick. The Braum is definitely an interesting pickup here. I mean, you do know a lot. There is going to be that all-in with the Nautilus, with the Xin Zhao. It isn't that great in lane, but once you get out of it, things are looking really good. And honestly, into Nautilus is not that bad because you can eat the you can eat those dredge lines, and then any of the follow-up damage when you just throw up the wall.
Yeah, it's just that easy, and the passive stacking is quite nice. Speaking of passives that are quite nice, Camille locked in for Darlic at the top lane. Now, one of the most natural responses I've seen is usually Aurelia or Jax, right? Which is an option. This is that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Aurelia Jax is usually pretty common, but it seems like it's not doing the flashing thing, so I guess it's locked in.
Oh my god. We're seeing a Tryndamere, baby!
So it is the Tryndamere. This one is really interesting because Tryndamere is fine in team fights, but you really want him for the side lane. You really want him to be split pushing and doing things like that, so he's...
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our first game of the day. We're now, and that's I did also get some information that, you know, Oplon was sad that they could not pick the Ahri. I received personal information. Now it was banned away, but Ares, don't worry, man. I see you. It's okay. One day you'll get it.
I mean, Ahri was banned against Oplon before her rework. A little bit. There was some respect being paid, I swear. I have to look back and check. Maybe I'm crazy, but I know for sure, especially as soon as she became good, they were like, yeah, Pang, listen, buddy, we know all about you and your desire to play this champion. So, no, sorry, buddy.
It's, I mean,
take a hike.
That was one of the earliest information that we received getting into the split, right? Because Pang was a Ahri master even before her rework, so I can't even imagine how it looks afterwards. She's very happy, but, you know, like you said before, Ahri has been banned away against them in every single scrim they had, so they would effectively be blinding it if they were to play in this game with no real practice, as Melanic is playing the worst Tryndamere skin, Highland Tryndamere.
Ew. Well, skin aside, I think overall, it is definitely an exciting pick.
It is.
Again, it is less a little less about team fights, even though you'll have enough value when you get to some of these neutral fights. You can... So here's the thing. I think Camille does in team fights what Trynd can do, but in a better way, where you can really isolate and take down the backline enemy carries. People like Inax, Zcor, they're the ones under a lot of threat here. When you think, when you see Jinx and Aphelios, the big weakness is that they're immobile. So someone like a Tryndamere is ghosting, Beyblading on top of you, whereas Darlic is just going to be hookshotting on top of you. Either way, you are under a lot of threat, but Melanic, for the most part, wants to spend his time outside of these fights here. So I think the skirmishing is going to be a big deal for GameWard before we get to, 15, 20 minutes when Soul might be on the table or something along those lines. Before that, that's when we need to see GameWard do things. But it's tough because, again, Chocolad is on this pick where you do need a little more time to get online. Need some items. Need that level upgrade for his laser.
So, two things. I believe, based on the point you're saying about how Melanic probably wants to side lane as much as possible for as long as possible, I believe we should probably be seeing that same sort of, bot roam going up to mid or top side to make sure you can unlock your top lane or right around the market to the fiddle, right? That's really common. And two, I believe the term Beyblade exclusively is, for Garen, I want to say. Considering how much
I don't like Garen, so he doesn't deserve it.
But do you like Tryndamere?
More, yeah.
Really?
Like a tiny bit. At least, I can CC Tryndamere. I can avoid him depending on what I'm playing.
CC Garen.
Yeah, but he's so tanky for no reason. And dude, once he Qs, he silences you. That's it. You know what I mean? Especially once you get, if you're a squishy champion and you're in 15 minutes in the game, if Garen sees you, you're dead. Because Q, you're silenced. Guess what? Does the Beyblade spin, and then you die. Therefore, I hate it.
You know, your contempt is understood and is valid.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean that I still won't play Garen, though. It's
Wow. Okay. You think you know a guy?
at this point,
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like you should. But on the other end, you know, no real action. Just both junglers putting out the full clears, and we'll see decently early backs as well from the side of GameWard as they set up their waves in a pretty solid state where you can get off an early back, they can go back for some items, and then come back to lane decently stronger over Oplon. I don't mind this.
No, and I mean, Peng was forced out at a bit of an awkward time because Checolad's actually getting ahead in a lot of these health trades. And because Peng did go for the Ignite, again, very aggressive, looking for the kills, the big plays. Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's hold that thought.
We were talking about how you could, you know, hook in, and perhaps get stunned, but there you go. That's the Braum passive, and that's the first blood for Brunez.
Yeah, concussive blows, very, very good. I like the move from Absolute, being able to find that angle there with Brunez. We talked about it. This is the early game, especially Brunez getting these kills early on the Lee Sin. It's not ideal if you are GameWard. This is how Oplon start to find these serious leads and snowball them, well, into one win, which is what we saw them do last week. But even in against LBLC in that very same week, they did perform very well. But it's not the end of the world. GameWard, especially, you do have scaling picks later on, like Checolad here. And as long as it's not the LeBlanc picking up kills, I think you're not scared yet.
No. And you know, if I am to put up some contention here, I want to say, you know, although we expected Oplon to win the game against Mirage, at the state the Mirage was in, I feel like as though it was like pretty clear that they were going to win. If you look at the Mirage early in the split, right, then maybe I think the Mirage would have been able to put up a fight. But as this moment, you know, we talked about how they've gotten just rougher and rougher, unfortunately. So hopefully, you know, we might see Mirage bounce back a little bit this week based on what happens, but that's neither here nor there. As you look back on the game, between Oplon and GameWard, as of right now, things are pretty stationary, pretty standard, and Oplon with the first blood can probably look to gain advantages there, you know, very much like teams like Vitality do and BDSA as well.
Yeah, right now Oplon going to be able to pretty easily go for that first dragon. Oh, Peng!
Maybe. He needs probably like one more kill. Oh, actually.
It's because he dodged the chains.
Oh, he also didn't pop the sigil either, so he can get the burst damage. Ah, that's pain. But instead we have a dive top lane. Right on Darlic, gets the launch. There's the Hexing Ultimatum. Under tower has the ultimate. He's dodging out on all of this. The tower shot hits. Melanic survives. Well played.
Very well played. Yeah, you, of course, having that Undying Rage, you better be the one taking aggro of your Melanic, so it's really nicely done. Darlic, despite his best efforts, blows ult, blows flash, is not able to do very much about it. And that's good. This is what we're talking about when we're seeing Aquapain on the Xin Zhao. He's really good with finding these opportunities and setting these dives up. So getting that answer kill is also important too. You don't fall behind. You don't fall to Oplon's pace because you know Brunez is on the dragon. And you're like, all right, well, hey, Darlic, you're looking pretty juicy. I want my own Ravishing Report clip. So let's go make a play topside.
I mean, it's only got to be the solos, man. You know how it be, bro. It's
they didn't get the memo.
They didn't. I let them know too.
You got to tweet it.
Oh, you know what? Right now, let's do it.
Okay, I don't know about right now. We'll do it later.
Exactly, but like you were saying, it was just well executed dive and good trades across the board. At least now this does give GameWard a little bit more priority on the top side, which is what you want to do as a Tryndamere, right? We've been saying you want to unlock this pick. You want to give it free roam. Like a Highlander, you want to make sure he can go where he pleases.
So you're saying you like this kid?
I don't. Stop it. Don't put words in my mouth.
I almost got him. But you're right. Yeah, it's good too getting kills on this Tryndamere, on the Xin, because you're going to continue to have some of the strength in the earlier parts of the game. And I do find out that we are going to be able to go back into the game here. The pause is over.
Yay.
And a lot blown there for Darlic. No flash because of that last play. Maybe you could see Akavane make another play on the top side of the map. I mean, snowballing this Tryndamere is a great way for you to continue going on to this game, while someone like Checolad is just going to continuously be, you know, passively scaling. All he's got to do is farm, and he is doing a good thing. The fact that he didn't die in that 1v1 to Peng is also pretty important, because Peng did invest the flash and ignite to make it happen. Another potential punish there for Akabane if GameWard want to bite.
It is so simple here. As you know, mid lane too, Checolad is stacking a pretty nice wave actually against Peng. And we do see this support as well from Oplon, just roaming around there in case Brunez is also right around there. You know, on his Raptors, well, taking away Akabane's Raptors, I should say, a little bit ahead in terms of tempo. And so I believe they probably have a spot of this, but Akabe decides that going bot side might be the play, but they're still heading a roaming around mid. Z-Core's there as well.
Yeah, and he moves after that wave here, and Absolute, of course, was getting the roam. And this is Oplon just committing a lot to making sure they get these early objectives. First Dragon, first Herald.
Yep.
Really good early game start for them here, especially because Brunez could set up a dive in the mid lane if they really want to here, especially because Checolad, he still doesn't have flash, keep in mind. So if you pick up that Rift Herald, and Akavane and Chameleus are not prepared, their mid laner is going to give away a lot of turret plates over to Oplon.
And this is what we expected, right? This is the way that Oplon like to play, especially just to make sure that you are allowing your ADC a bit more weak side. You can make sure that Absolute can roam a bit more, but Inax getting ahead is definitely what you don't want. Ideally, it is a setup scenario for most of Valios, just to make sure that you can funnel gold into them. And with Absolute falling and roaming down, they'll deny at least one more plate from Inax, but he gets an auto away. So should be just under the wave or two when he has no support, be able to get that into his pocket. Really simple stuff here, beatdown. As Peng fires the gravity field, the hook down, along with the ultimate from Jekyll. Just to force him away, he will not die. He'll survive for another wave.
Yeah, this one is tough though. Peng, or Checolad rather, has to recall now. So you got to know Peng has that ignite up very, very soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, you see Peng's already looking. See if he can do something about it. Only stops because he spotted out Akavane. So it's a good play there from Peng, and it's what allows, I think, Brunez to be able to very freely go for a lot of these objectives. Absolute is moving around the map with him. They're getting pushed in the bottom lane for the most part. Peng is constantly going for these health trades and putting Checolad in awkward positions as well. Because of that, everything in terms of neutrals has been going Oplon's way here. The gold deficit you see is mostly due to some CS differences that we're seeing. Actually, a lot of it is Melanic in the top lane. He's up like almost 30 CS. I just noticed that. That's crazy.
Wow. I mean, considering the way that he had pushed in, I was noticing that Melanic was able to just simply collect the wave. Sorry, I was going to say collect the turret gold, simply based upon him having the pressure there. Yeah, so all that gold and everything else being funneled into his pocket, effectively leaving Dark weak side, and we'll probably be in that position until Camille gets at least one item, right? But considering how Melanic is scaling, you definitely don't want to be trapped in a Hexic ultimatum with Tryndamere, because it'll be a situation of, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Right now things are slowing back down. So at this point, it's just about trying to read Brunez if you're GameWard, trying to understand what play he's going to be looking for to set up with the Rift Herald. He's moving with Absolute right now on the bottom side. Surely they're going to spot him, and because of that, Inax is going to have to back off as the support is coming through to help. Actually, Checolad is also on the move here, and they recognize how big a deal it would be if all those plates were to go over to Z-Core and if Inax ended up falling in a dive. So the move there from GameWard, although defensive, reactive, is important, and the more time they do this, the more time Brunez is going to spend holding on to the eye there, and the more longer he holds on to it, the sooner it's going to expire, and he has to, okay, where am I actually going to drop this? He could just go ahead and drop it mid, because this dragon is coming up in 10 seconds, so even though you won't be able to get a turret, that's already 2 dragons right away.
Dude, that was bullying. It's just like Melanic is literally dancing around Darlik under his own tower, not allowing to get a single thing. Check out takes the burst of damage. And you know what was disgusting too? Is that all the damage that Darlik at least that he actually put down, Melanic killed back up with a passive. Just as quickly.
Whoa!
Okay, a bunch of damage on Brunez after the Moonlight Vigil. Taken from the Infernum, the hook not landing on Absolute is unfortunately gonna thwart that play. And now on Darlik is, then again, how is Melanic able to stack these waves so consistently? It's actually impressive at this point.
I mean, at this point when you have that Undying Rage, it's hard as Darlik to be able to try and trade, because as soon as you trade, you're going to be trading health. Actually, okay.
All right.
So when you're trading health like that, back and forth, it's going to end up favoring Melanic because he heals up with the Q.
Yep.
And also the fact that he does have that Undying Rage. So the all-ins aren't really in your favor when that ultimate is available. So Darlik has to respect that, wait for the wave to crash. Oh my god!
Oh, he's just a bit too far forward. A good safeguard as well with Absolute saving his life, but has the force of the flash.
Yeah, that's a big deal. You do manage to kind of slow down the dragon stacking there. We find out it's a Mountain Soul and one dragon apiece. I mean, GameWard are pretty happy about that one, as now they're the ones who are continuing to hold on to this lead. It's worth noting Melanic, of course, and Akavane Both have their mythic items completed here. That is a big amount of damage they have available to them, especially when we have that second Rift Herald coming up probably pretty shortly. And that's the big thing that you're probably looking to play towards, because we're still 4.5 minutes away from any Dragon. We're still a while away from anything else on this bottom side of the map here. It's probably going to be both the AD carries just continuously farming things out until that one comes through. But actually, that bot lane rotation comes through again from Oplon. Oh.
As Darla goes in, and X has almost no mana, but doesn't want to fight this. Instead, Melanik is not here up against Brunes.
Oh yeah, he wants it. He wants
puts the absolute, puts the undying rage, but he gets him in the process, will likely die. And then that's a shutdown given over to Peng. As the fight continues, Camilius slow down. Akabane's also there. The Crescent Guard still available, but those concussive blows not going to be enough as they land a second hook. And they keep on going. Peng under some duress.
Yeah, that was tough. Oplon needed to walk away after they get the 1-for-1, but Checolad there with that gravity field came in clutch, allowing it to be that 2-for-1 there. And there you go, flash for flash. Oh, no. Look, they're still going on to Z-Core.
They can keep going on here. Z-Core, so just walk away from this. Akabane gets one more. We were just talking. I was going to say, the skirmishing power from GameWard has suddenly increased, and I guess they heard in my mind.
I mean, yeah, we were talking about it. The Mythics came through from Melanik and Akabane. They had a window where they were feeling really, really good about their strength here. So they were able to make this. Melanik, he'll fight whoever. He's level 10. He has so much gold right now, and you can see it in how he is one. It's 1v4, and he says Brunes wants it. Even though he gets caught out in the process, here's where things, I think, are where Oplon has stepped a little too far. You can see Checolad coming from the wave. He was right there, but you pushed too far anyway, and Absolute not able to flash over the wall, ends up falling, even though Peng doesn't fall. All that pressure means that they can continue the follow-up here, because Z-Core, you're not allowed to be here, sir.
No, you're not at all, and I'm sure at this point Z-Core is sadder than SpongeBob when Gary left him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be pretty sad about it too, where it's like, aw, man, just wanted the Grump.
It was right there, you know, just you want one thing, you don't appreciate it enough, and for Z-Core it's priority and being alive for that specific moment.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it is. Can I just say, that's such a banger song, Did Gary Come Home? It's so good.
You know what I thought was better?
What?
You ever watched Phineas and Ferb?
I've done Phineas and Ferb.
You remember Come Home Perry, when Perry was gone?
Perry Come Home was good too. So my favorite song from Phineas and Ferb is actually when they go into Canada's body. You know, and it's the one where they talk about just like, no, just the two of us in it.
Yeah. That was really good. For me, it was Backyard Beach.
Oh, Backyard Beach is great.
It's just a banger.
Dude, all the Phineas and Ferb songs are absolute bangers, as is the pace of this game that continues to scale in favor of GameWard.
That's right, and I mean, they're the ones increasing the pace right now because they've been able to, they used advantage of some of their power spikes to be able to get such a big lead for themselves. We're talking about how the GameWard, for the most part, off of mostly Melanik, was up just about under 1,000 gold, and because of that fight we saw in the top jungle, we got 3,000 in their favor, and it isn't just the top laner for GameWard. There's also Akavane. Checolad has definitely done his fair share in some of these skirmishes here, and of course you have Inax, who's just very comfortably farming things up. And the thing you got to think about too with this Jinx Aphelios matchup is that Jinx is often seen as better because of the range, the more consistency she has in these team fights. But the thing that allows Aphelios to kind of bridge that gap is the all-in. And when you're strong, as GameWard are right now, the all-in is good.
Speaking of the all-in, you find one from Oplon as there's a response. The Inferno Moonlight Vigil does a ton of damage, but Akabane stuck on the back and they can't do it. Actually, Camillus and Absolute end up dying, and like you said, Inax far too good at this point, no mana, but they'll stop chasing.
Oh, Checolad doesn't care.
Maybe, but he was overextended. He's by himself. He's gonna die. Oh, he had blood in his eyes.
Yeah, he was feeling himself. You see the red dots here, like, oh, I can do it, man. I have the upgraded E, but he does get caught out. You do crucially give away a kill, and that makes it a 2-for-1 there for Oplon. You're really happy with that one, and you do, because you do have that Rift Herald, Oplon still have this opportunity to take a turret there. They can drop this one mid, walk down to this dragon if they choose. And I like this. Actually, from Oplon overall, they were expecting this to happen, so they waited for it to come through. Easy kill onto Camilius, but no one's doing anything about Inax. Look at the Infernum damage. Look at that Infernum damage. And once Checolad comes here, you'd think it would be GG, well played, but Checolad...
Checolad walks in like, I can do it, I can do it, but I'm only human.
Yeah,
Oh, man. Tragedy strikes him, but he's fine. He'll recover. He's 1-1-1 ESTP, so he can go on and do his thing.
It could definitely be worse. You do give Oplon some of that extra gold back, which is really good for them. But because of the pressure and because they had Melanik on the bottom side of the map, Oplon know they were not in a spot to be able to contest this the third break of the game here.
One more auto from the concussive blow should be able to take him, but Akabin is also there. They kick him away, but Pang with a spot. Oh, he threads the needle. All right, with the rocket. Zikor, that was nice.
It was really nice. Set him up. He knocked it down, and because no support means no vision, means it's very easy for them to use this wave to drop the Rift Herald. No matter what they try and do, that's the wave. Oh my god.
Chocolate is dead, and there you go. Peng walks away to... Chocolate would have died if
there was Ignite.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, Melanik is continuing to bully Darlik in the bot lane, but there is support coming.
Yeah, see, in the 1v1, you'd think Melanik has ult, so he's probably going to be fine. The problem is, Brunez is here now, and although he might just get 1-for-1 here.
He should be able to, but actually the Undying range will expire in about 4 more seconds. And yeah, there we go. Gets taken down really.
Chocolate?
Chocolate is a little bit late to this. He wants to try to just get one. He might be overextending again. He does not have the ultimate up either, so he can't go with the assassinates. And no flash from him either, but he's just stalling for his teammates. He will definitely die, and will get nothing back. And instead, it'll be Akabane to pick one up. There's a Crescent Guard. Wants to try to re-engage onto Darlik, but I don't recommend that. It's still a Camille. But in Axis here, he still has no mana, but he does have the white gun. The flash over from Camelius. No CC, the depth charge will keep Darlik alive.
Man, that was a tough one. And that actually is still pretty favorable for Oplon. GameWard are going for a lot of these fights that aren't really favoring them here, and they're trying to force situations a little too much, I think. You're in that situation where Akabane, no mana. Inax, no mana. So even though you do have numbers, you do have that chance to maybe turn things around here, you're doing a little, you're going for a little too much. And now because of that, Oplon, we were talking about, what, 3,000, almost 4,000 gold in GameWard's favor. Now we're back down to just under 1,000. And look at where the gold is to Zikor and Peng, the two big damage dealers, especially because we talked about the 5v5. One thing we did not highlight enough was Peng on this LeBlanc. Her ability to be able to ignore the front line, find these flank angles, and because Shield Bow has fallen out of favor, Inax, if you're on the same screen and she gets that angle, see ya.
Oh, it's GG, bro. I would understand if you don't want any of the smoke, but the smoke will come to you.
Yeah, I hope you don't like playing.
I don't. I mean, clearly neither do any ADCs. By the way, for ADCs, I feel so bad. Oh my god.
Speaking of not playing, Chocolate, I hope you didn't mind.
Yeah, I hope you didn't mind at all, man. Look, to be fair, Chocolate's been kind of being very, very front-facing with his engages, and I would say overestimating his damage just a bit.
I think this one is more like, it's hard to 1v1 LeBlanc, especially with the Ignite at this point. She has so much damage. You land those ethereal chains, you're in a really good spot here. I love this call from Oplon, though. You take the mid laner out, you know Melanik is in the bottom lane with Ghost, not Teleport. So you have the 5 versus 3.
And Peng is also there as well. And GameWard, no, they can do absolutely nothing about this. Akabane can't even get close with Peng there. And this is a free Baron and just leaving Melanik to split push bot side. Although what he wants, but this Baron should establish a bit more control on the side of Oplon.
Yeah, really big deal here. They get the gold lead, I think, for the first time in this game, despite the tier 2 going through. And here it is. Oplon, Peng, he's waiting. Oh my, what? I can't even, this is what I'm talking about, man. I hope you didn't like playing the game. And it's really intelligent there to make that call there from Peng. Just, you take out Chocolate, you know Melanik's on the opposite side of the map. That's a great position for you to be in here. And that's the thing, too. That's why when you have these picks, your lane assignments are very important. So having Melanik on the bottom side, yeah, you want him to match the Camille. Yeah, you want him to try and push out this lane as far as possible. But you got to be wary of teleports because they can make a difference.
They can indeed, my friend. Those TPs have been such a tempo change, especially like you're mentioning with the Ghost on the other side for Melanik, right? If you're not playing around those timings, suddenly you are effectively at a 4v5 always. And then for GameWard, it becomes about what you sacrifice. It's the pros and cons of having the Summoner pick and of having Melanik gain an advantage. So far, it's been working out fine. They maintain side lane control, but they have to survive and put it under with this Baron. And mid play isn't too bad, but they will lose this tower.
Yeah, you gotta let this one go. You do have wave clear with the Aphelios, but the range is... Oh! He didn't even have time! He didn't even have time to pop the Undying Rage. He's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm gonna walk away from this. And he's probably thinking, oh, I see.
That was 6:28, by the way.
Yeah.
Right away at the end in terms
Oh,
of
they're
pop,
gonna
and
look.
it keeps on going. Out of the Moonlight Vigil, will probably try to get one. Darlic is dead, but there's still a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Oplon as they now look to break open the base. Beat down, remember, for GameWard. This game is do or die. If Oplon win, GameWard are out of playoffs.
Right, Oplon, they're trying to hold the gates to playoff contention from GameWard, and they're doing a great job of it so far. Although GameWard, they tried to, that's one Sigil of Malice. GameWard are trying to keep themselves into this one. They are trying to make these plays, and I like that. Someone oversteps, you try and burst them down, but it isn't enough. You got to get more. And their saving grace is that they picked up 2 dragons. So this, they don't have to worry about Oplon being on Soul Point or everything like that. They can feed this Drake and be fine with that. The problem is now, what do you do for the next couple of minutes here? Side laning is very dangerous, because if you don't know if Peng is off the map, you have a problem, because 2 items has the needlessly large rod, will pop anybody on this team except maybe Akabane if he gets the Crescent Guard up in time. That's the only thing that can really save them individually. So you have to play a little more grouped up here. This is the 4-1 we were expecting for them here, but Melanic's just going to have to be a little quicker on the trigger for that ultimate.
He has no MR as well.
I
he
mean,
also
why
has
would you?
No armor either. He's effectively Glass Cannon.
Yeah.
But Glass Cannons, unfortunately, with the one purpose they have, he's not even able to fulfill that, because now he knows the danger he's under. Yeah. And if they are not tracking Peng, if they're not tracking Ezekiel alongside Bruce, he dies. That is simply it. That is the end of the game. And he will not have a single opportunity to possibly live for a couple of seconds to pop the Undying Rage. And I won this GameWard have given away one of the main win cons for getting 1 game in map control and 2 being able to skirmish. So they're fighting a 4v5 and they have to group up.
Right now, really the only thing to play for is the Baron in a few minutes' time. That's why you're seeing Checolad push this top lane, and that's why he's also being shadowed by many members of the team here, because until they saw Peng show up on the map just there, they weren't sure of his location. So what they're hoping for is the punish, and that GameWard can actually turn these skirmishes and get these kills, especially when you know Peng's on the other side of the map. I think you feel a lot better about your ability to fight in these situations here. I mean, GameWard, they are 2k down, but a lot of this gold is on LeBlanc. So if you find yourselves in these 4v4 scenarios, 3v3s, without Peng, GameWard are going to be happy to pull the trigger here. And now they're going to use that top prio to set up some vision to get themselves this chance to at least have some control. Ooh, I mean, it's LeBlanc.
Yeah, speaking of Peng, that Fuglin's proc still does a fair amount of spread out damage. I'm hoping that Peng just goes for the Medjais at this point, because he might as well, right? It's just, it's should be pretty stacked up, but on the other end, you know, GameWard biding their time until one of the main objectives come up. That being the Baron in another minute and 15 seconds, and Oplon as well. Looking towards that Baron too, but considering both of these teams have dragons evenly, I think they might potentially go for a trade, but they both know that a GameWard keeps the Baron, it might just be GG for them.
Yeah, this Baron's going to be very important here, especially because Oplon, again, you still have Peng. That's why you're seeing a lot of the deep vision from GameWard in the topside jungle, a lot of red wards. You want to try and get a lot of these angles if you can, so that you know where Peng is going to be, so that you know where this LeBlanc is, who, again, on the same screen as Checolad, on the same screen as Inax, and potentially, and Camellia. There are 3 members of GameWard who, if they come face to face with Peng, they die. That's it. Nothing. If nobody sees LeBlanc, they're done. So that's the thing GameWard have to be so very careful of with this Baron coming up very soon, because now it's about Peng. He's going to be the one who is able to make it happen for Oplon, potentially get themselves their second win, deny playoffs for GameWard. And Peng, I mean, all split long, he's a player. We were saying this is who they wanted to play for. For the last couple of weeks, we're finding.
And even talking about, as I'll go and hold my
Moonlight Vigil.
It lands onto 3. The gravitum is big, and now they have to go in to the back. We're gonna punch the damage, but Melanin can't survive for even 4 seconds. seconds, and Chameleons is gone once more. It's the exact same order of the previous fight.
The problem is Melanik, again, he falls before he can pop the Undying Rage. There's just so much damage coming from this LeBlanc. You're not expecting it. At this point, as soon as he sees him on the screen, you gotta just press the R key, brother, and you can see it. All the damage.
Okay, but there you go. That's the Storm pop. So against Activated, he manages to get Pang. He might be turning it around. Inax though, caught up by himself as Medarlic. I'll try to get him. He flashes forward. He's gonna die in the 1v1. Inax is hiding away. Doesn't have flash, but there we go. Manages to get him as Z-Core gets the cleanup. They lose 2 out of it, but they will get the Baron. No, they get him off the Baron.
No, but they can go ahead and start the Baron up right now. Chameleus and Melanik can't do a damn thing about it. And with those empowered recalls, the timing is so good. They don't have vision, but they can recall and go for the Dragon. It'll be their soul point. Oplon get to have their cake and eat it too.
Indeed they do. And going back to the point you were saying before about the superstar about the superstar mid laner. Pang. His name has been in our mouths almost the entire game, and for a reason too. Talking to Oplon, they even mentioned as well, at this point, due to the standings, right, the most they can do is highlight their players, and I think they've done a really good job of highlighting just how good Pang is.
And I just want to highlight, I think this is a good play there for GameWard. You get a big Moonlight Vigil with the Gravitum, that is your way in, but Melanik being bursted down means, okay, you gotta run, you're no longer in a position to go for these fights, but they get locked down. Hextech Ultimatum comes through. That's an easy 2 kills for Oplon, and it's an easy Baron secure for them. And the rest of it, like, you can just see it happen here too. Even though the Gravitum from Inax is good, and it allows them to pick up the shutdown onto LeBlanc, I think ultimately it didn't matter. You lose Baron, you probably lost the Dragon. We'll see after this replay, and this game is really hard for GameWard.
Yeah. We were saying how, you know, if they do lose the Baron here, it might be GG. Now, considerably, since they managed to deny the Baron from all 5 members, right? It's not completely over, because if both Pang and Darlic had it, then Oplon single-handedly, just securely can just end the game by themselves. But for now, GameWard still have to fight against all the wave clear. Since the base is open, they have to give up the inhib. As Pang is there, he's go by himself, but no Baron up minions. As they're not in the base of GameWard, looking to push these minions further, but they know the longer they stay, the longer the chances are of them dying. We've been in a situation before, and overextension will only help GameWard.
And speaking of, okay, so we do know now that GameWard, while we were through that replay, we're the one who managed to get Prio and take that Dragon. That's a big deal. You have this Mountain Soul win con you can play towards here. Those extra bit of resistances, every little bit is going to count, and the shield as well. So it's something GameWard have to try and play for if they can hold on these next couple of minutes here. I like the attempt from Inax, but no Moonlight Vigil is dangerous.
Yeah, they do lock him down with the Hextech Ultimatum, but he's up against a lot of people.
No GA.
Pops the GA. Brutus goes in, the kickback onto
Undying
1.
Rage.
But Melanik is still alive. Dark might be dead, but they go that's a 1-for-1.
Pang
As
is low.
go down from Oplon. And this is fine. Seems to be all in favor of GameWard. Inax is still alive. A lot of damage from Check a lot as he stuns them up but manages to stay alive. It would be a 1-for-3, but they still lose the inhib.
They're going to lose the turret. I don't think the inhib is actually on the table here. Melanik is going to be there to show it down, but that's a big deal. That's a big fight. And I love this from GameWard because this is a team where we talked about when they fell behind, they would turtle. They would try and just play slow and not take as many risks. The problem is, that's what you have to do when you're behind. You have to try and make things happen, force the situation, and that's what they did in that play. Mind you, they're still down 3K. It is certainly not all done and dusted. It is definitely just a good punish here. And if Oplon wants to hold on to their lead, they're going to have to not overextend like that. And I mean, they're still in a good spot. Dragon for 2 minutes, there's nothing to play for right now. Even though they no longer have the Baron, that bottom lane will auto-push for the next couple of minutes. And you can just focus on having push mid, having control over vision on this bottom side of the map so you can deny that Dragon Soul.
Z-Core is bold for going for that W there, considering he saw the hook from Chameleons as well. And so if he was potentially caught out, that could have been a free pick, and for GameWard, slowly vaulted them with the momentum to take this next Dragon as well. But by the end of it, although it doesn't remain fruitful for themselves, still for now though, Oplon, I find very much in the driver's seat. They just have to find a good fight, and them taking out Melanik and Inax are definitely the priority. Yeah. Every single time they've been able to do so, GameWard simply just crumbles. But like you were mentioning, GameWard has that good looks, and they're fighting against them well, but it's simply not enough to try to survive, right? It's just because that's all that's been happening right now.
Yeah, if they want to come back here, they have to keep looking for those small moments where Oplon could overextend and they end up catching them out. But until then, Oplon, if they want to keep this going, if they want to secure their second win in the split, it's going to be about not over-forcing here. You're in a good position. You know you have control over bot push, mid push, and have easy access to this Drake. You can deny the soul, keep things at your pace, and not have to worry as much about trying to end the game soon. You're still extremely dangerous. You have 4 item jiggles.
Charlie goes in to try to power back a bit. There's a Crescent Guard as well, but he's locked down right in the middle of the entire team. He stays alive, but a big offer from Minax. As the Graviton goes along, he's still alive. And now the GA is popped as this fight is going horribly for Oplon. They catch up, but the kick away is nice, but it's trades across the board. Chekra stays alive as well. Zico's still alive. He can't find the resets, but 2 are down from GameWard. There's the reset. Zico's excited. He wants to go in. If you get an axe, it's GG, baby. That's it. That's the ace, and that's the game. Oplon take out GameWard from playoffs.
And they dash their hopes and dreams while securing their second win in the split. Oplon will hold the hot gate and deny GameWard.
Yes, they will. No one is allowed to enter. Oh, that's all there is.